party.
Fun kind?
The film opens with Jessie, a model with blonde hair, sitting on a sofa under bright studio lights, her body covered in fake blood as Dean, the photographer, captures the scene. After the shoot wraps up, Jessie starts cleaning herself, and Ruby, the makeup artist, strikes up a casual conversation with her. Ruby asks if Jessie is from Los Angeles, leaving Jessie puzzled. Ruby explains that Jessie's outfit gave her a Los Angeles vibe. She then offers to help clean off the fake blood from Jessie's skin and casually inquires about where Jessie is staying. Jessie mentions she's staying at a motel in Pasadena. Ruby, intrigued, convinces Jessie to join her at a party later. At the party, Ruby introduces Jessie to her two friends, Gigi and Sarah. As the group mingles, Jessie catches the eye of a guy across the room. Later, in the restroom, Jessie is taken aback by the blunt and bold nature of the three women. Gigi and Sarah casually chat about plastic surgery, with Sarah suddenly shifting the conversation to Jessie's family, mentioning that they're no longer alive. Sarah then asks if Jessie has anyone in her life, to which Jessie responds that she doesn't. Sarah dismissively tells her that what really matters is the time she spends with a man and who she chooses to be intimate with. The conversation makes Jessie uncomfortable, but she goes along with it, managing to keep up.
Someone said there's gonna be a show.
The group then returns to the party, enjoying the show and having fun together. The following day, back at the motel, Jessie is getting ready, meticulously enhancing her appearance in preparation for a big interview with a modeling agency. When she arrives, Roberta, the agent conducting the interview, is immediately impressed by Jessie's youth and fit appearance, complimenting her and expressing a lot of interest. Roberta then shares exciting news. They plan to introduce Jessie to a top designer, which leaves Jessie thrilled, dreaming of a future in New York. As the conversation wraps up, Roberta casually asks when Jessie graduated from high school. Jessie admits she hasn't yet, explaining that she's only 16. Roberta, unfazed, simply hands her a parental consent form, warning Jessie that if anyone asks her age, she should say she's 19. Despite her initial hesitation, Jessie agrees, not wanting to miss out on this major opportunity. Back at the motel, Jessie signs the parental consent form and heads outside to meet Dean. Excited, she tells him she's officially signed with the modeling agency. Dean congratulated her and asks if they mentioned anything about his photography work, but she said they didn't. They hop into his car and drive to the hills overlooking the city. Jessie, in high spirits, gazes out at the city from the hilltop, though the mood turns a bit darker as evening falls. She admits to Dean that she doesn't believe she has any real talent, but she's banking on her beauty to make money. Dean's expression reveals he has feelings for her, but when she confesses that she's only 16 years old and the agency is asking her to lie about being 19, he's taken aback. He considers leaving, but Jessie stops him. After a moment, Dean reassures her to follow her instincts and do what she feels is right.
Listen, I think you ought to do what you think is right.
As Dean drops Jessie off at the motel, he leans in, about to kiss her, but she gently pulls away, declining. She heads to her room, number 212, unlocks the door, but immediately senses something strange. Alarmed, she rushes to the manager, Hank, and tells him there's someone in her room. Hank, accompanied by his friend Mikey, goes with her to check. When they unlock the door, they're both shocked to find a wildcat inside the room. Despite the bizarre situation, Hank coldly warns Jessie that she will be responsible for paying for the damages. The following day, Jessie heads to a studio for a professional photo shoot with a photographer named Jack. Ruby is also present, there to handle Jessie's makeup. Jack begins by instructing Jessie to remove her shoes and positioning her exactly how he wants for the shoot. After sizing her up, he announces that the shoot will be a closed set, asking all the crew, including Ruby, to leave so he can be alone with Jessie. Once alone, Jack tells Jessie to take off her clothes and turn around. He then applies gold paint to her body and proceeds to capture an intense and visually striking photo session. After it's over, Jessie meets Ruby outside, who warns her to be cautious around men like Jack. Jessie, grateful for Ruby's concern, thanks her and acknowledges the offer to reach out if she ever needs anything. Meanwhile, Ruby, Gigi, and Sarah are having lunch together. Ruby casually mentions that Jessie was at the studio earlier, and Jack was the one photographing her. Sarah's expression immediately shows displeasure, while Gigi seems indifferent, not giving the situation much importance. Despite their mixed reactions, all three are surprised at how quickly the modeling agency has elevated Jessie, especially since she's so new to the town. Ruby, however, admits that there's something undeniably special about Jessie, hinting at why she's rising so fast. The next day, Jessie arrives at a casting call where she crosses paths with Sarah, who is visibly irritated by her presence, her jealousy clearly showing. During the auditions, the fashion designer remains unimpressed with most of the models, including Sarah. However, the moment Jessie steps in front of him, he is captivated and immediately hires her, leaving Sarah fuming with anger. Unable to contain her frustration, Sarah retreats to the bathroom, where she has a breakdown, violently throwing a trash can at the mirror, shattering it. Moments later, Jessie walks in and tries to compliment Sarah. Sarah, still mad, sarcastically asks what it feels like to enter a room and be adored by everyone. Jessie responds, "It's everything." While talking, Jessie accidentally cuts her hand on a shard of a broken mirror. To her shock, Sarah attempts to lick the blood from Jessie's hand. Horrified, Jessie panics and runs away from the bathroom. Afterward, Jessie, injured and shaken, returns to her motel, trying to avoid being noticed by the manager Hank. Once inside, she disinfects the cut on her hand with alcohol, but suddenly loses control and collapses to the floor. Dean soon arrives, finding her in distress. He decides to confront Hank to pay for the damage that had occurred in her room earlier. However, Hank's rude and disrespectful attitude only worsens the situation. Dean is clearly angry but also intimidated by Hank's menacing presence. Returning to Jessie, Dean carefully removes the shard of broken mirror from her injured hand, helping her recover from the incident. At the fashion show, the models are busy preparing for their runway appearances, with Gigi and Jessie among them. Gigi is visibly irritated by Jessie's presence, her frustration boiling over as she tells Jessie about the numerous plastic surgeries she has undergone to maintain her looks. Jessie, unfazed, responds calmly, saying she prefers the way she naturally is. Meanwhile, the designers decide that Jessie will be the highly coveted closing model, a decision that leaves Gigi and the other models furious with jealousy. As the show begins, Jessie steps onto the runway, but her experience takes a surreal turn. She has a vivid and intense hallucination, seeing mirror images of herself passionately entwined within a glowing blue triangle, reflecting a strange inner transformation. Later, Jessie brings Dean to an event with the fashion designer, where Sarah and Gigi are already seated with him. Gigi refuses to make space for them, so Dean and Jessie take the next available seats. During the conversation, the fashion designer makes a snide remark about Gigi's plastic surgery. He then asks Gigi to stand and turns to Dean, asking for his opinion on how she looks. Dean awkwardly replies that she looks fine. The designer then shifts his attention to Jessie, praising her beauty, calling her a diamond in a sea of glass. He then pointedly tells Dean that beauty is everything. Dean, frustrated, argues, insisting that there's more to a person than just looks. The designer counters by saying Dean wouldn't have paid any attention to Jessie if she weren't beautiful. Angry and fed up, Dean storms out of the event. Later, back at the hotel, Dean waits for Jessie. He questions whether she wants to be like the others in the industry. Jessie, however, confidently responds that the others actually want to be like her. She then walks away from him, heading to her motel room, leaving Dean behind. That night, Jessie has a disturbing dream in which she sees Hank forcing his way into her room and pushing a knife to her throat. Startled, she wakes up to find herself lying on the floor, disoriented. Just as she gathers herself, she notices someone trying to open her door. Panicked, she quickly locks it. Moments later, Jessie hears noises from the room next door, someone breaking in and assaulting a girl. Frightened, she calls Ruby for help, explaining what's happening. Ruby, sensing Jessie's fear, tells her to come over to her house for safety. At Ruby's house, Ruby hands Jessie a change of clothes, and Jessie steps into another room to put them on. Afterward, Ruby tries to comfort her, but soon begins to make advances, attempting to force herself on Jessie. Jessie, feeling uncomfortable, insists that Ruby has misunderstood and tells her she has never been with anyone in that way before. When Ruby tries again to be intimate, Jessie firmly pushes her away.
I said stop!
Causing Ruby to fall to the ground. Angered and frustrated, Ruby storms out of the room. The next day, still frustrated, Ruby heads to her second job at the morgue, where she applies makeup to bodies before burial. As she works on a female corpse, Ruby imagines the body as Jessie, making herself want to be on top and in control. Meanwhile, back at Ruby's house, Jessie takes care of herself, calmly applying makeup in front of the mirror, seemingly unaware of Ruby's inner turmoil. That evening, Ruby returns home to find Jessie standing on the edge of a diving board above an empty swimming pool, gazing into the void. Jessie, in a moment of self-reflection, tells Ruby that her mother always called her dangerous, and admits that her mother was right. She goes on to say that women would kill to look like her, and that people have always wanted her kind of beauty, often going to extreme lengths to try and achieve it. Jessie returns to the house, only to find Sarah and Gigi unexpectedly there. At first, she assumes they're throwing a party, but it quickly becomes clear they have sinister intentions. Panicking, Jessie grabs a knife and tries to flee upstairs. However, she soon finds herself surrounded by the three girls. In a swift, brutal moment, Ruby shoves Jessie off the top of the house, causing her to fall to her death. Afterward, the girls, covered in Jessie's blood, take a shower together, their bodies soaked in the aftermath of their violent act. Ruby, in particular, bathes in the blood, indulging in the scary moment. The next day, Ruby quietly goes about her routine, watering plants and meticulously scrubbing the bloodstains from the ground, a chilling reminder of what had taken place the night before. Her calmness contrasts sharply with the violence that unfolded, suggesting her complete detachment from the horror of the previous events. The movie concludes with Gigi and Sarah at a luxurious house, where Gigi and another model are preparing for a photo shoot with Jack. As soon as Jack lays eyes on Sarah, he's so captivated by her beauty that he immediately dismisses the other model, choosing to focus entirely on Sarah. During the shoot, Gigi suddenly falls ill and rushes to the bathroom. There, she violently vomits one of Jessie's eyes onto the floor. Horrified and panicked, Gigi is overcome with guilt and screams, "I need to get her out of me." In a fit of desperation, she grabs a pair of scissors and fatally stabs herself. Sarah, seemingly unaffected, picks up and eats the regurgitated eyeball before calmly returning to the photo shoot. Then the movie ends. Did this story spook you out? Let us know in the comments below. For more horror movie recaps, subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next one. Fear awaits you.